Hi, this is Morocco Nemeth. This is week 3 of Introduction to Linguistics, Phonetics. Um, so you'll see there's several assignments this week, um, kind of a lot. Some of them are extra credit. Some of them are formulated just to tell you what you need to know, for the midterm and the final. Um, Here we're getting into like a lot of the sciencey areas of linguistics. Um, Less sociological, philosophical, literary, speculative, and actually kind of very solid as far as their basis and fact. Um, Now there are three basic areas in phonetics: um, acoustic, which has to deal with sound in the sense of measuring sound waves and some of the stuff that we won't be doing here. I took undergraduate and graduate courses in linguistics. I'm sorry, in phonetics, and you can get a lot of depth. And it forms a lot of the foundation for going into a lot of the other sciences of linguistics or sub areas, subfields, arts of linguistics, whatever you want to say. Um, in the sense that, phonetics, you're looking at sound at a very kind of basic level, a very stripped down to not, how we use letters, especially in English, with a lot of French derived words that have the spelling isn't much of an exact representation of how we pronounce things compared to a language like Arabic, where you can really, 99% of what you read in Arabic is how it's pronounced. In classical Arabic, in dialects, it's different, but English is really not straightforward that way. So, because of this problem with a lot of European languages in the 19th century, um, the a bunch of linguists got together and they created what they call the International Phonetic Alphabet. I do have a little doc on that for extra credit. It's funny. It's got stick figures. If you want to do that, you can. Um, and it's like what assignment? It's down. Yeah, it's the seventh assignment. Um, and there's a lot of extra credit here. I'm giving you like a bare essentials kind of thing, and like if you want to take deep dives and go off and do a whole bunch of stuff, you can do that. I mean, but there's phonetics. Next, we'll do phonology, which is looking at sound on a kind of bigger level. Um, and phonetics and phonology, especially phonology, are really important to a lot of other sciences, historical linguistics. A lot of people will think, oh, this word sounds like this word in this language, even though they're totally different languages. And because they sound alike, they must be, from the same source. Um, and that's not really how linguists do things in historical linguistics. They look at regular sound change over time and see if it fits certain patterns and other things to. I mean, yeah, sometimes there's a cognate, the same word root, and you can see similarities and all this other stuff. But phonology and phonetics play a big role in historical linguistics, a big role in some sociolinguistics, because sometimes, the sounds people make, how they pronounce things are an indication of class in lots of societies. And a lot of societies, class markers are more important than we think of them in American society because we think that American society doesn't have class when it very clearly does. But it's not as explicit in your face, as it is in a lot of other places. Anyway, um, it's connected to a lot of other sciences. So it's not like you study this one and you just drop it. Now there is this, IPA symbols and transcribing. So the CSLO for this identifies speech sounds, and this is all part of phonetics in terms of voicing, place, and manner of articulations, and apply IPA symbols in transcribing English. So first off, sounds like have what they call voice and voiceless qualities. So, if you could put your finger on your voice box, your larynx, whatever, if it vibrates, right, then it's what we call voiced, and if it doesn't vibrate, it's what we call voiceless. So they're like what they call minimal pairs. So the place of articulation, right, is where, so you have air that comes out. That's how you make sounds, right? And it goes through your voice box, and it's impeded in some way. It's if it's a consonant, it's stopped at some point by airflow. I'm sorry, by some articulator, some place in the vocal cavity. Um, and it's stopped in some manner. So when they say voicing, that's one thing. Place is where is it stopped? The lips, the teeth, the uvula, the glottis, the palate, um, and the manner of articulation. You have things called stops. You have what they call um, nasals, sounds that, well, there's kind of two places of articulation. They're like, right? So it's bilabial, two lips, but also goes out through the air, goes out through the nose. Mm. Um, you have, um, we're going to focus, you'll have questions on voicing. So you'll have voiced or voiceless. So let's give you one example. So if I say p and I say b, right? This is a minimal pair. They're both bilabial or both articulated. They're both what they call stops. T and d are also stops. They're not bilabial. It's t and d are both alveolar. Alveola is the ridge behind the teeth, the gums, and um, oh, that is not what I want to show. It's really good. This goes over everything in depth, places and manner of articulation, IPA. Those videos go over step by step everything. But what I want to say is, so for a stop, study diagram for phonetics, places of articulation for English in the English language, right? I mean, it's all languages. Well, most languages, not all languages have all of these. But so you have to, I'm sorry, p, b. Not all languages have p and b, but in English you do. So if you go p, you don't really feel anything here. Here. If you have b, you're gonna feel it. If you say t, you don't feel anything. If you say d, you're gonna feel it. T, d, p, b, f, voiceless, v, voiced, right? Um, so um, this is voice, right? And the manner, they're not showing you the manner here. I'm not really going to go over it much. It's covered in Catherine Anderson's book, but I'm not testing you on the manner. So this is like stops, glides, fricatives, affricates, sonorants, sibilants, stuff like that. I'm not really testing on it, but I will ask you, you know, where is the glottis? Where is the um, velum? Where is the uvula, which is right here? Alveolar ridge. You don't have to know post-alveolar. Bilabial, labiodental. Right? Labiodental is well, lip and teeth, and then dental. You also have like interdental, like between the teeth. The which the and the are in English, but they're only in like 5% of the world's languages, and they're not even in um dialects of English, right? Like people say D's and do's, and um, tings, like in the British dialect, some of the street dialects sort of say ting instead of thing. Anyway, sorry, so many tangents possible in linguistics and phonetics, and I find it very interesting. So you got voicing, right? This is important. Like, another one, s and z. S is voiceless, z voiced. So for Spanish speakers, there's the letter z but you never say z. In Spanish, it's a s, right? So you have to teach speakers who are trying to work on their accent. I mean, accents are beautiful, but if they want it more towards a target English speaker, they have to say, you know, they work on s versus z, and it has to be voiced. So there's the voicing, place, manner of articulation, IPA symbols. Okay, so I have a lot of resources for IPA symbols, and let me just go over this so I don't make it too long. Um, but you can just look up too. I have some in the announcements. I have a whole bunch of resources. Like so there IPA chart with sounds. There are a lot of these. I like the clickable ones. Yeah, this is the one I actually have in the announcements. Yeah, I don't know why it's closed. Do not open those. I don't. It's loading very slow. Ah, so this is cool because it gives you the sounds and then like this is
E,
E. It's not it, right? This is it.
E,
So the thing is, that's for all the languages. So it gets like really big, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's so much, and it's a bit overwhelming. And they're different. So um, those are your vowels, and these are consonants. It's too many consonants, right? Um, they do have like this the voiceless on the left,
ba, a ba,
the voiced on the right.
ba, a ba.
Which I don't know why they put an "a" with it. I mean, it sounds stupid, but whatever. Um, anyway, so these are some of the symbols. It is so many more than you need. Um, it's just so you know. And then these are some ones that aren't really in English, like the click.
Ah, up, ah.
And here they mention some other things that I'm not gonna worry about. But again, there's so many deep dives you can go on with this stuff, and I only want you to know a certain amount of things. But that's the IPA like alphabet. Um, all right. So as far as the course objectives, right? You identify and describe English language architectural elements and conduct foundational analysis of their interaction at phonetic and phonemic, morphological, syntactic, and semantic pragmatic levels. So, describe consonants in terms of voicing, place of articulation, manner of articulation, vowels, the height. So there's the vowels. Are they, do you make them in the front of the mouth, the back of the mouth, the around your lips, all these other kind of things. Um, Group speech sounds in natural classes, phonemic awareness and phonics, allophones. Allophones, I have a couple videos on that in the assignments. Don't worry about too much. You're not really going to be tested on it much, but it's just basically, you know, within a language, say you can have a sound and it's pronounced heavy or it's pronounced light or it's pronounced in different ways in different contexts, and it makes a difference in meaning. Or it doesn't. If it doesn't, it's allophonic. If it does, then it's phonemic. A phonemic is a sound with meaning in a language, and it's different with different languages. Okay, as always, if you want to see all of the stuff, this will be the page. So you go to the page and you click the module, and the module will take you to all the assignments. And I'm gonna have to plug in the video after I get it done and put it here. So let's go over the assignments for this week. So Essentials of Linguistics, I'm using it as a resource, but it gets a bit too deep into some things that, it's just beyond the scope of the class. So it's really good in how Dr. Anderson introduces a lot of stuff, but then it goes off into other areas. So, um, you know, all you need to do here is kind of watch the videos and um, watch videos and answer the questions, right? Phonetics studies human speech. Speech is produced by bringing air from the lungs to the larynx. Respiration where the vocal folds may be held open to allow the air to pass through or may vibrate to make a sound, phonation. The airflow from the lungs is then shaped by articulators in the mouth and nose, articulation. So, the first questions ask you, okay, is soup, is it voiced or voiceless? So, p, and then the pair is b, right? If you say p and if you say b, you're going to feel the difference between p and b. B is voiced, p is not. Is the voicing the last sound of the word life? F, now it's a minimal pair, meaning same place and manner of articulation as v, f, v. F, v. If you try f versus v, you're going to see f is voiceless. Now, seem, right? There's not a minimal pair with seem. There's not an opposite with sound in English. So it's gonna vibrate, man. That's voice. So they have the answers and they have the script. Okay, cool. So um anyway, I that's cool. I mean, you could obviously cheat on all these, but it's really good to learn this stuff. You can cheat on anything. It's always good to learn. But what I was gonna say is, so if you go through this first video, then you're gonna go through the next. Sorry, it's a little bit weird to navigate. You probably know that, but um, there's videos in questions and articulators. So um, I want you to do all these. It's a great introduction. You can learn a lot more. We're going to start with Catherine Anderson, and then after Catherine Anderson and the textbook, we'll explore other resources. So the second one is from Wired, and it's neuroscientist Dr. Sophie Scott, and she starts with beatboxing, which the guy's English, British, and he's not my, I don't know. He's a good beatboxer, but he's very different than say some of my homies do it. Pretty straightforward assignment. It gives you like, I don't know, it's cool. You'll see. I like Wired. I have two assignments from Wired. Third one is Eric Singer, who's an accent coach, and he gives a great breakdown. I mean, I can watch his stuff for fun.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double.
Okay.
New York City, Trenton, North Carolina.
He has a whole bunch of videos like on not only like later I'm going to give you videos he makes like about accents through America, and he made several. He made at least two of those. He also does stuff judging the actors' accents, and it's really interesting as a linguist, and it's like these are actually things though. You don't need a linguist. Like human beings pick up on accents and little things wrong with accents, right? Or things that are right. And so, thinking about your dialect, again, like I've lived, from Michigan, but I lived in Fresno for, I don't know, 36 years or something. So I was 15, 2 years overseas. But anyway, a long time. And it's not 36, but it's something. Actually, it was if I take out the 2 years, so 53. So, anyhow, I see different influences from different dialects in my English, in my Arabic, in my Spanish, whatever, Anyway, um, so I do want you to do that, and just a note about like discussion board posts. What I'm going to do is that your discussion board posts, if I put a date like the 31st, this is due the 31st, but what I'm going to do is, I'll grade when you turn them in if you don't do the peer comment, and then you can do the peer comment. So if I say the 31st, that's for the post, and then you have another day to do a comment, a peer comment. So I want to give you time to do the comment, and I don't want you to stress if I fill in the rubric and it's missing 4 points because you haven't done the comment. You can do that later, right? But I just kind of want to sometimes like grade things, so I'm acknowledging that you turned it in, and then I'm up on that. Um, I don't really like giving bad grades, but I want to keep things up so I can see who's participating and give you some feedback and stuff like it. So you can always comment to receive full credit later. In general, you can do that all the time too. Okay, this is really important. I have a whole video on this, actually. So, International Phonetic Alphabet, again, you have an exercise where I ask you to use, there are actually IPA, there's a citation, not citation. It's an International Phonetic Alphabet generator. So I can put something in to it and it'll put it into phonetics. You got to make sure it's in American English though, because it'll give you like British English, and it can be, of course, much more diverse than that because there are hundreds of types of English all over the world. But make sure it's American English phonetics. Okay, um, so what I did like on the midterm and on the final, I'm just going to give you is really 11 questions. Most of them are just one word. And let me go over them really quick. So these are them. There used to be a clickable one that checked your answers that was available from like Pearson or something, and then they took it down. And it was really dope. I liked it. They took it down, so I've had to, kind of post it myself. Um, so this is the first one. Number one, that this is page. Number two, this is weather, which could be spelled like A or B, right? Three, this is reach, reach. This is not rich, this is reach. Number four is cancel. Number five is mystical. Number six is wishful. Number seven is unusual. Number eight is crowd. Number nine is badger. Number 10 is fortune. Number 11 says everyone loves cats, which I wish my cat was here. I love cats, but not everybody loves cats. So it's not true. Just, and this is a partial review for the midterm. Um, don't have that's the other part for credit. That's 33 points, three each. And I'll try to check them to make sure they're correct. Because I want you to get them correct because it's on the midterm and the final. And these are some other questions, right? What is phonetics? What is phonology? What is semantics? What is pragmatics? What is syntax? What is morphology? What is neurolinguistics? This is all for the midterm. These are all things that will be on the midterm. We're going to go into morphology. That's what this stuff has to do with, and some other things. Grammar, I narrowed down what we're doing in grammar because grammar and syntax could be a giant topic. Oh, language in the brain will not be on the midterm. Well, it's on the final, not the midterm. But so the other stuff is going to be like heads up. What do I need to study? That's what you need to study. Yeah. But this is an assignment, 33 points. These are the ones you have to remember. I don't want, to give you, I don't expect more of an introductory linguistics class that would have more phonetics than that. This here, oh yeah, so this here is over time, like when I introduced the phonetics assignment, there were questions. So I have a 15-minute kind of video where you can watch this. Okay, hello. I wanted to just make a quick video about phonetics, the phonetics questions, the phonetics content. There is an actual. So I do have a video on that, and if you have questions about IPA or about phonetics, or explains a lot. It's about 15 minutes. Okay. Now these are two really good videos. I want you to do, these go over, the person labeled them old phonetic, blah, 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 blah.
Stop asking research questions to ChatGPT. Its answers are not reliable, and they are difficult to be fact-checked.
ChatGPT is a terrible company, but you can do stuff with them. Okay, so yeah, that's acoustic phonetics, right? Spectrogram, and it shows, like, I took a class and we had to learn to read those and sound waves and stuff as they imprint on a spectrogram, and it's kind of confusing, man, honestly. But
makes it a little bit darker where your formants
anyway,
are.
that's not relevant for us.
Vocal folds
this is
will vibrate, or they won't.
Phonetics,
and that will change.
And they go over everything here for you in a really good form. It's great. So again, with the notes, I like saying, like, I have a rubric for grading things, but it's like I want you to take observational, factual notes, and then some reflective stuff on it. But here, maybe it should have been more the observational stuff rather than reflection. Yeah, I got to rethink that, but it's probably fine, whatever. But I still think the observational stuff is more important than reflection here. Anyway, these are really good. They break a lot of stuff down. This is a lot of depth into phonetics. And for some of you, if you're going to teach English as a second language, if you're going to be a speech pathologist and help either young people or older people with, who had strokes or other, I have friends who are speech pathologists, have their doctorate in that, and they really help. They work for hospitals and they help people. I mean, there's just so much, where you really have to look at what's physically going on, right? With how people articulate things, and you can use it to help your students, your patients, whatever. It's also interesting. Anyway, that video, okay. Okay, so let's see, phonetics. Yep, that's a good. Two videos are really, really good. So this is extra credit. Kind of showed you this before. Humorous. I think it's funny, but
When I want to talk about different sounds, I'll talk about things like the ah sound in bat, or the sh sound in shoe, and other people will say similar things when talking about linguistics to people who don't have an extensive background in linguistics. But stray far from this cozy haven for the casual enthusiast into the world of academic journals and professional linguistics, and you'll start running into stuff like this. Weird Greek letters, upside-down letters, letters with funny little tails, diacritics, brackets, slashes. What is this madness? This, my friends, is the International Phonetic Alphabet, or IPA, and it was created by the International Phonetic Association, or IPA. Given that both of them were named by people who study language for a living, I can only assume that this is some sort of cruel joke designed to make them both intentionally, purposely ambiguous. But anyway, IPA the alphabet was born out of a very simple need. The need for linguists to easily communicate to each other what sounds they're talking about without relying on ancient writing systems with weird spelling rules that obscure the actual pronunciation happening beneath it all. The whole thing started back in Paris in 1886 with a small group of English teachers who called themselves the Phonetic Teachers Association. They were mostly concerned with the fact that English and French both had a lot of
I really enjoy this, and I miss when I teach in person and I can, talk about all this and so many things, but honestly. And then these are this is yet another, these are extra credit, up to 10 points each.
To stay ahead of the career curve, you need a degree with a destination. That's why University of Phoenix offers more than 100
NativeLang.com's course on using the vowels in the say things like the letter A or features of vowels.
So, yeah, there are so many different cool videos and stuff like this, but these are the ones I included. The guy has a very, if you're sleepy, don't watch it when you're sleepy, I guess. In these videos, he's very, way too low-key. Okay. So there's that. I'm almost done. Sorry for the length. I thought this would be really short. Oh, with the, if I give you extra credit, there's a due date, but it's kind of like You can do it whenever. I'm just kind of stagger stuff because it's connected to the lesson usually or something like that. Not always, but usually. I did provide twice the Kahoot link. So, if you want to practice this and study and see if you're getting it, you have the see these are all those words, the phonetic transcript of this word, really small there. Crowd. It looks better in the actual Kahoot, right? All this stuff's here. It's like, what am I accountable for? Well, that's what you're accountable for. Then there's a study guide for the linguistics midterm. I actually kind of showed you this. Oh no, it's a bit different in it. Yeah. This one's a little bit better. Okay. Anyway, and it does. This is actually the literal one that I put on the test. So, yeah, I can go over this more. It's just kind of like a preview, right? So you're like, hey, where are we going with this stuff? And for testing, and that's where we're going with the testing. And I just kind of repeated this, again at this is a hack to avoid stress in testing. If you go over the final review, you go to the Kahoot, you can play that, and it's gonna help you, man. Uh, a couple of things. I don't know. I looked up some of this stuff and I didn't want to. I do have to say that just because I give you a scholar like Steven Pinker, it does not mean that I agree with everything he says. And in fact, he has written books that I disagree with his entire books. And he famously, unfortunately, Jeffrey Epstein, from the islands and all that. He supported a lot of scientists. I wouldn't really call Steven Pinker a scientist. I have trouble calling it cognitive or evolutionary. I don't really even think that evolutionary. He's part of like these new atheist groups that came out of Canada. These intellectuals, though I don't know if he's actually an atheist, and then some of them aren't really atheists anymore. That was at least a phase for some of them. But they became kind of popular as intellectuals, and he has a position at Harvard. And Epstein, he made a whole argument defending Epstein, which is problematic. And he has, he has some other problematic things, including with. Well, there were like actually there was a letter to the Linguistic Society of America where over 600 linguists signed it, and they said, y'all need to kick Steven Pinker out of the Linguistic Society of America for certain positions that he's taken that were in support of eugenics. He's taken support trying to argue that old thing that led to Nazism, that different races, which are a social construct, not a biological construct, actually are more intelligent in an evolutionary way. He made an argument that he's made a lot of really dubious arguments that are not scientific, and people are calling him out because they're actually really racist. And he's actually Jewish, so as far as if you look at the history of eugenics and racism towards lots of people, including Jews, and sexism and all these other kind of things, it's a pretty ugly history, and its revival is extremely problematic. And anyway, I just have to say that about Pinker. But I don't like saying it. It's easier in class where I can have talks, discussions, but I feel kind of morally compelled to say something. I don't want it to color because it's a really good video. His introduction to linguistics, it's a good video, covers a lot, introduces a lot, but I find him problematic as a thinker on a lot of levels. And I've read his 700-page books. His book on, the language instinct on linguistics is good. There wasn't a lot of problematic stuff in that. And some of his other ones, absolutely. And you can look it up. I mean, there's a whole debate about him, and it's all over the place, and there's a lot of apologists for him, and there's a lot of people who are like, this dude is absolute trash, and so that's the reality of academics. If you have any questions, anything else about the class, just email me. I'm trying to think if there's anything. There were lots of things I probably wanted to say. But I think that's for now, and just leaving you with that. I hope you can, I hope some of you are following Sun Michaud, who is my favorite linguist and a political commentator. The dude really has a good conscience. I started like I'm gonna put some of his stuff like I did put, hey, check out Sun Michaud, follow him. He's talks about a lot of issues that are going on right now in the world and their relationship to linguistics and equity, right? And Lang focus and native Lang are much more just linguistic-y. But I'm putting in like some memes, and I want you to start doing that, hopefully. So there's so many great anti-prescriptivist linguistics memes, Superman, Community Center for Linguistic Prescriptivists, help, help, help. And he's like, do, let it burn, date with a linguist. What do you recommend here? Sorry, I'm a descriptivist, not a prescriptivist, right? I mentioned this one before. I'm not racist, but, I wish this group would try to speak properly. And Bugs Bunny, who, the guys who make money were pretty racist themselves. But you ever see the one where he's just killing Indians, one little, two little, three little Indian? He's just marking them. It's like, yeah, that's not okay. That's your people. There's a whole bunch of stuff like that. But America, I mean, even well, look up racism in cartoons and look at the history of the minstrel shows, and you'll see that most of the cartoons that are very popular in the United States come straight from minstrelsy, which was mocking black folks, and that is our culture. So, the third week, phonetics found in language, and well, I will say this is my Miyamoto Musashi shirt. Right? Book of Five Rings, great. The Sword Saint in Japan. Check them out. Anyway, take care, y'all.